Hello, welcome to Black Sails Painting. Today I'm going to show you how to paint a rough and ready Imperial Fist Space Marine to tabletop standard. Many people find yellow is pretty difficult to paint, so in this video I want to help dispel that myth and hopefully we'll see some more Imperial Fists on the tables in the future. So we're going to start off with a white base coat. Yellow doesn't go over other colours very well at all because the pigment isn't very strong. So whether you're painting the whole figure in yellow or just a shoulder pad, a weapon, a helmet, whatever, you always want to put a white base coat generally underneath it, or at least generally I find during small areas sometimes I go for a kind of reddish orangey brown colour helps, but definitely never black. Never ever black. Painting yellow with black is just a recipe for a nightmare. It's not worth the hassle. Get a lighter colour, a much lighter colour on there first under the yellow. So this is just a Black Reach Space Marine that I had lying around. It's not as detailed as the multi-part plastic kits that you can buy, but it does the job well enough. It's got enough detail that I can show off the sort of painting techniques and what you need to just achieve a simple tabletop standard. Nothing too special or fancy. So we're starting off with Averland Sunset. Grab a bit on the palette, mix it with a little splodge of water so that it's kind of a milky-ish consistency. You don't want it too thick. Base paints are very thick themselves anyway. They have a lot of pigment in them, so that means that they cover very well, but you still want to water them down a bit so as you don't clog up the details. It means you can put a second coat on later. So I'm just going through all the yellow areas, basically every part of him. Forgot the backpack first time round, so splash that on the second one and do a second coat over the rest of it. You don't need to be too careful this stage, especially with yellow, because most colours go over yellow pretty easily. So whilst I'm trying not to get stuff on the edges of the shoulder pads and all the bits that are going to be other colours, it doesn't matter too much, especially, as I say, with yellow. So now we're doing a layer of Imperial Yellow. Again, water it down a little bit. Being a layer colour, it's not as much pigment, so you don't need it to add as much water as you would with Averland, but still a little bit to make sure you get a nice even colour that's not too layer that's not too thick, doesn't clog up all the details and things, and you just paint over all your Averland Sunset colour that you'd done before. Averland gives Imperial a nice rich colour to sort of shine through it. If you try to put Imperial straight onto any other colour, it's not going to work at all. If you try to put Imperial onto black, it's going to come through kind of greenish, because that's just how yellow reacts with black. If you put it over browns and reds, you're just kind of going to get a reddish brown messy colour. So with that done, before I go and do any more work on the yellow, I just want to get some other colours blocked in, because if I make a little mistake and touch some of those yellow colours before I've done any washes and highlights and whatever, that kind of thing, it's a lot easier to touch up when all you've got is a base colour to touch up your Imperial Yellow. So just get the black in. Because this is just a base coat black, it's really quite watery. As you can see, it's not much thicker than a wash, but because it's black on white, it covers really well even as a kind of semi-wash, so it's good enough, and it just sort of sinks into all the details and things nicely, and you don't need to kind of push it around too much and risk splashing black all over the yellow, because yeah, it will still be a bit tricky to paint over any black splodges. You'll probably see me a bit later on doing a bit of that, because I'm pretty sure I touched some of the yellow in a few places. Let's get all those details filled in. All the black bits undercoated. And next, a wash of Cassandora Yellow. Some people, there's a couple of different colours you can use for this. Some people like Seraphim Sepia, some people like Agrax, which I really recommend against because you end up with a very muddy looking colour at the end, and Imperial Fists are often referred to as kind of golden yellow. So you want a nice rich colour. Seraphim Sepia works well. I generally use Seraphim Sepia after Cassandora, but Cassandora is the main one for me. So after Cassandora is dried, it'll take quite a while. Go back in with Imperial Yellow, just painting the raised areas, leaving all the Cassandora sat in the recessed areas, the joints in the armour, things like that, and just painting over, and you'll see immediately you get a huge difference in just how it makes the miniature pop immediately. So now going on to the metal parts, just painting the barrel of the bolter, the magazine, the joints in between the armour. Again, you want it a little bit watery, not too much, but too thick, and especially getting into those tight cracks like the joints in the armour gets really tricky if your paint's very thick. So once that's sorted, you can, if you want to be really quick and ready for tabletop standard, you can leave the yellow armor as is. But for this example, I've gone back in and done a very quick highlight of Flash Git's yellow. This it makes just the joints pop a little bit more. All I've done is just a little bit on the tip of the paintbrush, dragging it along all the edges of all the armor panels. Not even all the edges, just kind of the ones that would potentially be pointing more towards a light source. Again, not necessary, but if you want to, you can. For the gold, go in with Balthasar Gold as a base, and just go over all the gold bits. Re-going over all the black whilst the gold dries. And I've definitely splurged a little bit on the shoulder pad there, which will need cleaning up. Now for the pouches, really simple leather. I just do a base coat of Mournfang Brown, and that's it. It gets a wash of Nuln Oil a bit later on. Here I'm putting Nuln Oil on the lead belcher for the metal. And Space Marine eyes, they can be a little bit tricky sometimes. You need to make sure you get the point into the corner of the eyes. So you need to change the direction of your brush. Don't try and do it all in one swoop. So after white, just do a little blob of Waywatcher green shade that just tints the eyes a nice green. That's a nice contrast from the yellow and the black. And now going over the gold with Gehenna's Gold. Just no washes, just like that. It's just simple. For a tabletop quality, that's all you need. Just a light base and a layer afterwards. So after the wash of the Mournfang, that's the model finished. And as you can see, it's not incredibly highly detailed, but from a tabletop position, when you're playing a game 2 feet away, 3 feet away, it looks great. It's got a little bit of highlighting, it's got a couple of colours, it pops, it's bright. It does the job. You can, of course, you can add your decals to the shoulder pads. I'll do a video on that later. You can edge highlight the bolter, the shoulder pad edges. Obviously you want to do a bit of basing. But for now, as an example of yellow, this works well enough. So I hope that this has helped some of you guys get over difficulties with yellow. And I hope that some of you will be able to finally start an Imperial Fists army, or even the yellow Eldar, the Yandan. Yellow, it's not that hard. You just got to remember, go over white. Go over white, take your time with Avalon Sunset and Ariel, and you'll be fine. It's no harder than any other colour as long as you start with white. That's the biggest point, the biggest tip I can give you. So thanks for watching, and I'd appreciate it so much if you guys could give me a like, subscribe. I'll be doing more in this series of just quick tabletop ready miniatures. So until next time, thank you very much. Goodbye.